could you introduce yourself and your company, please?
Yeah, I'm Stephen Hamilton, VG Energy. We're close to 5 years old, which sounds pretty young, but in the small wind is extremely old. We started, two farmers' sons, started as basically one secretary, started wanting to buy a turbine ourselves, which we thought we could do better. We're now 60 employees, 4 offices, in-house planning, in-house install, and we came from the background of, I suppose, being self-employed. We only do this to make an income, and we see renewables in general as a huge opportunity for the rural community. Farmers is probably where we're strongest, but you don't need to be a farmer, you just need to have land, space, and of course wind. Biomass is another new opportunity just opening up, but we have been mostly wind, moving to biomass, but our I suppose in the background here, if you can see what we have here on the stand today, we have this is a Northern Power 100 kilowatt machine. I suppose the advantages of this machine is a large rotor, direct drive. This particular machine is 6 years old. So one of the hard lessons we've learned as a company is try to work with manufacturers that have had it spinning for a while. Argosy is pretty new to the market, but they've had their ups and downs, and we believe in what they're doing now. This is I suppose these two machines have a very different marketplace. This is a split phase machine, a low tip height machine, where if you're able to get a higher tip height, if you've got 3 phase, you would automatically go for the larger machine. And we have over 10 products that we would try and fit the site, match to the site.
So could you just run through exactly the full array of services that VG offer then?
Yeah.
You're a developer?
We rent sites, we develop sites, yes. That's, I suppose, a separate wing to what VG Energy does, but absolutely develop sites, and that's possibly our long-term income. Our day-to-day business is selling, installing, and gaining planning permission. So we have over 25 in-house planners, from ecologists to landscape architects to all the necessary bits and pieces of a planning application. I'd say we're doing more due diligence now. We're trying to get it right rather than just go for it. But planning has definitely got more complicated, more in depth. But still, lots of room, lots of opportunity. And then in-house install. So we've always installed everything we've sold, which allows us to do maintenance. When the guys are not busy installing, they can maintain. And of course, if there's a machine down or an issue, those guys are on site, able to redirect and go and get it fixed. So we see that as a big plus. And of course, our experience in choosing products, as I said already, has been a difficult journey. But we didn't always get it right. So that's what I would recommend to any customer. Look very hard and careful at the product you're choosing and the company you're buying it from. And we're not the only ones. There is other good guys out there. But it's probably the biggest borrowing on your farm, biggest decision you'll make, with the biggest rewards for a long time in farming. I suppose this concept started. I bought 25 acres, wanted a small turbine to help repay the loan. I'm now at a scenario where I'm going to have a free property. I have to live, of course. The turbine has to spin. But it's certainly changed my life. It may even allow me to buy a larger farm in the future when I put the turbine income towards the repayment of the farm. So this is an opportunity of a lifetime. It's the only upside of rising oil prices.
And which rural areas are you particularly targeting your services at?
We cover the whole of the UK, but obviously certain areas are easier or have more wind, have more grid access, so Aberdeen's a buzz, southern Scotland's a buzz, right down in Cornwall's a lot of machines up, Yorkshire's a lot of machines up, but as you get closer to the cities, as you get closer to the airports with radar, with it's just a no-go a lot of the time, and sometimes finding that out early on that there's not going to be a turbine here is all you need to find out and walk away.
And so you're looking at biomass and solar PV as well?
We've done a lot of solar. Solar has come down in price, and somehow still seems to get cheaper. I think solar's had its big day. I think we have enough installed in the UK, and I think the government's telling us as hard as they can stop. But it is still viable. If you're happy with a reasonably secure income and a fairly long payback, absolutely still viable. Biomass is really exciting. The tariffs were right at the start. We're like at the start of the solar bubble. The tariffs are high. We have the luxury of old technology coming out of Germany, Denmark, Switzerland, Austria, all the countries that have been burning wood for generations. So it's the early adapters of biomass are going to be in at tariffs that are we'll look back and say, my goodness, that was lucky. But biomass is here to stay, and will be here to stay even with reduced tariffs in the future.
And looking forward, where do you see the company in 4 or 5 years' time?
Good question. Hopefully with a lot of our own turbines up. Maintenance will be there to not only maintain our own turbines but customers. Probably already where my own particular site, and I talk about my 25-acre farm, my 15 kilowatt turbine's coming down to replace it with 100. And I'm considering planning already, even though my 100 kilowatts not up, for a 2 megawatt. I'm only 30-40% hopeful, but I think upscaling, and that's if you look at the future. If you look at Holland, Germany, that's exactly what they're doing today. They're taking down old second-hand small machines and replacing with new. So that's our market. And I think wind's always going to be viable in the UK. It's if I had a complaint, it's such a pity that we don't manufacture more. But we lost that initiative in the 80s, and we actually talked to some of the guys that we were ahead in the 80s. It's now manufactured in Germany, Denmark, America, and that technology, that know-how is going to be extremely hard to get back again. But at least we've got the wind, we've got the infrastructure, we've got the high rising price of electric. And as I've said already, it's the only upside of oil rising. It's give us an opportunity to have an income to produce a product that's absolutely needed.
And so what does VG Energy need at the moment?
What does VG Energy need? More sales, more customers, more installs, more hours in the day.
Have you got any targets?
Planning would be there'd be so much. I don't expect it to relax, but if planning officials would come back to us quicker, make it easier, make it more straightforward. But it actually seems to be the reverse. Planning seems to get more in-depth and more complicated, and more mitigation needed. So we have to keep getting better to stand still. So that would be, if I had one wish today, it would be give us a bit of fresh air with planning permission. And I suppose finance is progressing. Turbines are easier financeable now, and will get easier, so that's something to look forward to. As products become more viable, more trusted, obviously banks will be more willing to lend. But yeah, an opportunity.
Thank you very much.
No problem.